Hello there and welcome to day 2 of Communications, Mastery NLP Communications. And I may just invite everybody to come on and join. And while you are coming on, and you may come back on the playback, and that is your absolute right and privilege to do just that, because that's the reason that you are also in this group, because not only will you get the opportunity to get trained, you'll also have the opportunity to come back, okay? You'll come back and you'll refer. Now I'm going to talk, before we get into the content, I want to talk about the purpose of this group. So we have already some NLP coaches on here who have already done a certification before. So I believe that when you come in and you do this kind of content, you're actually transforming your life first. Hello as you jump on, and it's great to have you here. And I am so delighted and so excited for everything that I am going to be bringing, because it is my mission to add massive value to you. So there's 6 days free bonus to give you a taste test of what it is like. There are already professional coaches in here. There are also NLP certified by me in here. There are people that are already in here so that they can learn and go forward. And there are people that are just sitting and watching and seeing if they can learn something and take in, you know, as much content and see if it is a good fit. So it doesn't matter the reason you're here, the fact is you are. So welcome aboard. So now the first thing I'm going to do, because this is an NLP group, is I'm going to ask you to find a position where you can be comfortable and where you can actually relax, because let's get present. So if you are going to be transformed, if you are going to be a coach, if you're going to be a world changer, or even if you're just going to have your own personal transformation, this is what you need to do. You need to be able to turn inward. You need to become calm. You need to be able to clear your mind. So I'm going to reinforce this every time before we kick off. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to find a position where you can look at something. Now it's actually better if you're not looking at me. If you can ideally just find one spot on the floor or maybe up above and concentrate. Now as you're concentrating on that spot, I want you to see what you see, but just seeing what you're seeing. Now the next thing I want you to do is I want you to perhaps rub your fingers together. And as you're rubbing your fingers together, just feel what you're feeling. So now you're seeing what you're seeing, and now you're feeling what you're feeling. I now want you to listen to my voice, and I want you just to hear what you hear. And you may hear other things. There may be background noises. Just hear what you hear, see what you see, feel what you feel. Now, I want you to really go inward and consciously find any part of your existence that may be holding any tension or stress. So any part of your inner existence that may feel any kind of pressure or tension, I want you to turn in and notice where that is. Notice, because the awareness is going to make you powerful. And I want you now, as you turn inward and find any space where there's any tension or stress, I want you to imagine there's light and it's going right into that space, whether it's in your inner core, your chest, and I want you to make that light open out everything and clear and deliberately relax in. And now become one with your breath. Just notice where you're breathing. And as you become one with your breath, I want you to know that this is a formula of how to get in touch with your present state. And as we do it every day for the next 6 days, you're going to become better and better and better at this until you will be able to teach that. That in itself, just as a coaching modality, could be an absolute game changer for someone out there that is clouded, that has got so much crap going on in their head, okay? So now I want you to begin to think about the intention. And I'm going to set the mood for this training. And what this training is about is to give you the taste test in day 1 of becoming a communicator that is able to influence other people, not just by chitter chat. However, just your existence of the way you speak to yourself and what you say to others. Now let's take it that you have become an NLP trained communicator. That means you have epic, you just have this special kind of way to really speak into people's lives. I want you to think on the intention around that, what that's going to mean for you. So I want you to write it down, because you will need a journal for these days, okay? So every day I want you to make sure you write your intention. So I'm going to give you a little example just off the top of my head. Because I am learning NLP Communications, because I'm learning how to speak to myself and others, my relationships are going to be hugely rewarded. I'm going to be a magnetic light to the world, or I'm going to have this ability to succeed more in my job. I'm going to be able to reach the many people. I'm going to be an overcomer. I'm just giving you lots of examples. Write down your intention of what it's going to mean for you right there, yes, you, I'm talking to you, what it's going to mean because you're learning the art of this communication. So yesterday I went through a format of teaching you a little bit about magnetism, okay? How to hold your body and how that positively will influence the way you feel. I want you to also know that when your eyes are up, that is a visual stance. And here is the way to know, without even hearing or speaking, whether a person is visual or audible or kinesthetic. Now, this could be a very powerful thing for you to learn. So I would write this down if you've never ever learned this before, for you people that have never done NLP. If you're with a person and they look up a lot, okay, they just happen to go, they look up. They may speak, and then as they look up, they look up. They are a visual processor. That means that they are dominated in their way of processing by looking up, okay? Number 1. If you see a person who actually moves their eyes from side to side, okay? So they might go, they're keeping a middle, looking forward. They may just take their eyes off to the left, and they may even look off to the right. They may even hold their arms like this, and yet they're not closed off. These people actually are quite prominent for holding their arms like this, and they're actually listening, they're not blocking. And they move their eyes this way and they move their eyes that way. It's middle range, left, right. They are audible people. It means that they process through listening. Number 3, if they look down a lot, if you notice that when they're speaking, they look down, they make a reference down, and then they look back to you. They look down and then they look back to you. They are kinesthetic learners. Now, this could be the most profound thing you learn about how to get into the mind of other people, because once you can see that or hear that or feel that, because, you know, take me for example, I am a high visual and kinesthetic person. So you could speak to me, if you said to me, Terry, I can see that you really, really love the work you do. I can hear that you really feel so convicted in helping people. And I can feel and sense that, you are going to help thousands of people. That's going to be music to my ears. I'm going to be listening. It doesn't have to be about that. However, when you make reference to speaking to people in the way they process, you can be listening for their cues as well. Like, oh, I can't really see how that's going to work out. Or, I'm not hearing that is going to really be something that's going to work. I just can't hear that. Or I feel that could be okay. I'm feeling that moving forward, that could be a positive thing. Okay, so you'll notice I used visual, audible, kinesthetic. So how would you speak to one person once you've learned through what I just trained you about their eyes, and you are now listening to their words? You would speak to them in that language. You would speak to them in their visual, audible, or kinesthetic language. Now, what about if you're an online coach? What about if you're a person who's on stage? What about if you're a person who is running meetings and you have to speak to a whole group of people? Guess what, you guys? You gotta speak to the visual, you gotta speak to the audible, you gotta speak to the kinesthetic. Otherwise, you might as well speak to the hand. Okay, that was a little joke. Okay, so let me make a point. I'm going to ask you for permission, because there are people that are in here that are not paid people at this point of time. They're here to get free content to see what this is like, so they can see if they want to go forward, if they want to really imprint this stuff and become a world changer through NLP. So for those people, I'm going to actually make a disclaimer and tell you I'm about to use NLP to sell to you. I'm going to use NLP to sell to you something I feel very convicted about, that's in my heart and soul. And I was born to do this, right? God put me on this planet to change and transform lives. How do I know that? Because I've been doing that forever, even before I was an NLP conscious life coach. So here, my disclaimer. Okay, so I see that you're here, and I am so glad that you are hearing what I've got to say. And whatever you're feeling right now, I just wanted to let you know my mission. My mission for this group is to be able to do something that no other company, group, or coach in my position has ever done, to the best of my knowledge. Not as a rule, I've never seen it advertised this way. I'm going to offer it to a limited amount of people. What I'm going to do is I'm offering to work with you one-on-one, so that you get to learn what I learned. So you're going to you have the opportunity to transform your life, right? So the transformational process, yes, that's, readily done all the time as a part of transforming lives. The coaching part is usually done in a wide group. I'm going to bring together both, so that you're going to be able to see exactly how this is done. You're going to be able to hear and experience the transformation for yourself. And because I've been 12 years and I'm one of the leading NLP practitioners amongst 50 people in the world, I want to say that when we come to day 6, I would like you to consider being on board to be coached and trained to become a world changer, or perhaps to be transformed from the inside out. Okay, I gave you a disclaimer. That was it. I just said it off the top of my head. There was no script. I didn't write that. However, if you are a person who is here free and you're in the 6 days, I'm betting that you feel slightly interested in what I just had to say. Okay, so I used visual, audible, kinesthetic. You see my point? I'm using visual, audible, kinesthetic. Now the next part, so now that you've learnt IQs, how to read people, how to speak using visual, audible, kinesthetic language, I'm now going to move to the next element, and that is I'm going to make you feel good about this. Are you ready? Do I have your permission to make you feel good? Okay, so here's the thing. I want you, like if I asked you the question, I know there is actually, scratch that. Can you remember a time in your life when you were so enthralled about doing something? You may have been a child playing on the beach, making sandcastles. You may have been, doing something with your hands. You may have been learning something exciting. You may have been a child learning to swim or ride a bike. Or you may have been learning how to ski or jump out of a plane. You may have been in that element, whatever it is, you were deeply enthralled. I wonder if you can remember a moment like that. Now, I remember, quite a few moments. Like there is a moment when I was in Bali. Now, Bali is this beautiful paradise where the people seem to have nothing and they don't seem to have any worries either. Now, I went paragliding and, as I was a little scared, but excited at the same time. And I remember as I raised up and I was rising up, and the higher and higher I was going, I was looking right across the ocean. I could see the blue ocean. I'm speaking to you visually, audibly, and kinesthetically, remember guys, but this is a true story. I'm also eliciting a memory so you can think of your own. So I'm doing lots of things and I'm telling you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So as I'm rising up and I'm looking across the beautiful tropical paradise, I'm seeing the beach, I'm feeling the wind in my face, and I'm kind of drifting across in slow motion. It was like this feeling inside me where I was so present and so in that moment. You see, that is my experience. And maybe you can remember, I remember speaking to a client who couldn't find anything, and that's not unusual. However, I said, well, even as a child, maybe in kindy, painting a picture and just getting lost in that painting and all the colors and just that whole expression. Now remember, I'm using all NLP here, guys. I'm telling you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I'm actually telling you story. I'm bringing about a lot of visual content and feeling content because I'm reaching into your subconscious mind to help you to remember something, and that may happen very soon. So as you remember that oneness, that wonderful feeling of just being in a moment where this could go on forever. This live stream can't go on forever because my battery's going low. Anyway, let's keep going, guys. I've got to get through this. So I am eliciting a state in you. That's what I'm doing. So I'm not just talking at you. I am talking to you and with you to let you know what I'm actually doing. There is a science behind what I'm doing. So I am reaching into your soul and I am enlightening and uplifting your mind to open up and bring that space, to bring you into that realization and awareness of being so present and so at one with yourself that you can feel it. Now, imagine I just do this and I've met you for the very first time. Now, I'm a therapist, so I use all of my work for therapy, for change, for moving people forward, for speaking into the lives of people, for the mission of being excellent. And that's what I do. There are people out there, and I will have to tell you this, and I've had people ask me this. They want me to coach them and train them to become a magician. They want me to coach them and train them to know how to pick up chicks, guys wanting to pick up chicks. And absolutely, my disclaimer is that that's not my purpose. However, yes, I'm going to give you some illustrations. So I'm just going to give you one story before I close down. So in training, let's just say a person picking up another person, or actually, you know, I'm being a bit tongue-in-cheek. So what happens is, remember, if you go back to the start, I've taught you about the visual, audible, kinesthetic. You don't want to be that corny person. In fact, you know, there is definitely a science behind being magnetic. So having the posture, remember yesterday's live stream or the previous live stream, having the posture, leaning in, you know, questions, be interested in them. You don't have to do all the talking. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, you know, oh, what's your favorite thing? I love the beach. You know, what do you love doing? What really flicks your switch? What really makes your boat float? You know, what is it that, you know, gets you so excited, right? So as the person is speaking to the other person in this kind of language, asking them questions about what they love, not only does the other person feel super important, they're not trying to do all this chat, charming bull dust. They're interested in hearing what they've got to say. But what they're doing is they're picking up what excites them. So, wow, that sounds really exciting. Have you ever done that before? Oh, actually, I did it. I actually went on a similar holiday 10 years ago, and you know, I went skiing from a mountain, and then they're getting excited, right? And as you're watching that person, this is training on how to actually, you know, get people to feel really good about being in your company. Okay, oh, that must have been epic. So, you know, snow skiing on the mountains, what was that like? What did you have to wear? So you're taking the person into that moment, like, so they can be there, and they'll go to that place. They'll go in their mind to that special place, and they'll relive that excitement. Now, by this time, as the person is noticing it, they might just give a casual little, you know, little bump on the arm like that. It's got to be in a non-threatening, especially male to female, you know, just like, oh, that's great, you know, like, because and you got to remember where you actually tapped. Okay, so the conversation goes on. That sounds so amazing. So, you know, like, what's your favorite food? I actually went out last night and I had the most succulent Thai food. You know, it was beautiful. The beef melted in my mouth. Too bad if they're vegetarian, but anyway, let's go on with it. So what's your favorite restaurant? Oh, look, you know, I'm really into Italian. I just love Italian food. I love and then you're listening to them, and you're understanding what they like the taste of. You're getting to know what they enjoy. You're getting to know what they're interested in. The more that you ask them each time, tap them, okay? Tap them, because there's a memory to muscle by tapping them. And so then when you've had 3 or 4 different conversations, guys, don't talk about all your freaking dramas if you are dating someone. Not to say, I know lots of people may not be dating in this group. Just saying, if you're wanting to meet a friend, if you're wanting to make an inroad, do not talk about your dramas to those people, because what you're doing is you're making a subconscious link to that person. Every time they see you, they'll be stimulated, they'll associate you with negative. You want to be associated with whatever you want to be associated with. I'll leave that up to you. Anyway, in this case, so let's say this guy, he's picking up this chick, he's in the pub, he's just asked her what her favourite pastime is, what her favourite food is, what she's really interested in. Tap, tap, tap. Then he goes about doing the 3 truisms, which are stating facts. Also, you like snow skiing. So you enjoyed painting as a child. And I hear that you really, really love Italian pasta too. Now the other person's going, oh my gosh, he's a genius. He's a freaking genius. They forget they told him everything. You're picking up all that. You're playing back those 3 facts, but then you lead them. This is what happens next. Listen very carefully. So, remember they've been anchored. So you enjoy pasta. You're interested in painting as a child. You love snow skiing. Tap. Hey, do you fancy going and having a drink down at the next bar? Tap. Yes! Yes! I think that's enough for you guys. Stay true. Come back, come back, come back. That's enough. That's all I got. Day 2, communications. If I give you any more, I've given too much. I'm coming back with the heat, with the fire. Day 3, notice my process. On my personal profile first, to give you the intro into this group, to bring you the fire, and then moving on. Now, I want you to observe my behavior because I'm about to teach you the process of everything I'm doing. So if you're interested, stay tuned, see you tomorrow, and have an awesome weekend. Bye for now.